Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and this is How to Make a Game in Unity 5 and welcome to episode 33. So last time I promised you guys we're going to start looking at some C# and that's exactly what we're going to do in this episode. We're going to make some scripts ourselves and we're going to modify quite a large script in C# in Developer Visual Studio. So what we're going to do here in this episode is we're going to have a new environment. So I'd like to have this area a bit snowy. So we'll set up some snow and we'll have some triggers and we'll get a little script to change our footstep sounds to snow sounds. So firstly, let's go into our textures folder. And I have this snow texture here and a normal map, which I've just brought in from an image here, which you can get on the website for free. Head to downloads and assets section, download it there. And you guys know what to do by now, adding a new texture. So we go to our paint tool on our terrain, edit texture, add texture, and then we just drag and drop into there. And then we click on add. And then we have the new texture. So let's just paint this area a nice kind of white snow color. So I'm not going to do this very slowly. I'm just going to do quick kind of snow area. You can make it as big or as small as you want. And maybe let's add some bumpiness to it. Yeah, that should do. And then I'll quickly smooth out the bits so it looks a bit better rather than jagged. So I don't want it too jagged. So you get your snowy area looking how you want it to. So next thing we need to do is let's bring ourselves in some footsteps. So if we go to our audio folder, drag and drop these two snow step sounds, which again you can get on the website in the downloads and assets section. And now we need to add these two footstep sounds to our character. Now, as you know, I'm using the first person controller, which is built into Unity. If you're using the same, you would do it this way. If not, you would change it a little bit. By default, your first person controller should have this set as 2 in your footstep sounds. If you can't see this, just click the little arrow next to it. So by default it's 2. You could have it as 4, you could have it as 5, you could have it as 10. You can have many different footstep sounds. We want to set this as 5 for now. You'll notice it duplicates whatever the last element is. In this case it's footstep 0, 2. So it has 3 more instances of that. So let's drag snow step 1 onto there, then snow step 2, and once again snow step 2 onto there. So we've duplicated snow step 2 twice. This is because we're going to use a random range later on. It can get a little bit tricky when using random.range. So what we're going to have to do now is in a specific folder, I should say, rather than our script folder, we need to create kind of a snow monitor script, which will always tell us whether we're on snow, whether we're near snow, whether we're off snow, or all kinds of things. But for now, we're just going to have the option of on or off. So up here, you'll notice you have script, first person controller. If you click this little box, it will highlight it yellow where that script actually is. In this specific folder, we need to create that snow monitor script. So right click, create C# script, and let's call it snow monitor. Now, I'm not going to explain too much about the differences between C# and JavaScript because I'm guessing quite a lot of you guys will have seen maybe some other tutorials out there, maybe some of mine, some C# before. But the similarities between JavaScript in Unity and C#, they are very similar. So one thing to always note when you're doing C# scripting is that the public class name, in this case Snow Monitor, is always the same as the script name, which is also Snow Monitor. So we're going to get rid of void start and void update, and we're going to declare some variables. Now the way they're declared here is a little different than JavaScript. So we'll do public, and then we need to do static because we want to access this particular variable in a separate script later on in this tutorial. It's going to be an integer and it's going to be called on snow. So this is going to say, are we on snow or not, just for now. Next one is going to be the internal version of it. So public int internal snow semicolon. Next, we are going to do void update, open close bracket, open curly bracket, and it's just simply making internal snow equal to on snow. So we can always see in our inspector panel what the value of on snow is going to be. Semicolon, close curly bracket, and save that script. We're not going to attach it to anything, at least not yet anyway. We'll see how things go. So next thing we're going to need to do is have a trigger around, well, at least here on our snow, so we can see whether our character is passing through the barrier where the snow is going to be or whether he's passing back. So to do that, we need a game object, 3D object, and I'm going to choose cube. You can choose whatever you want as long as it has a box collider, well, I say box collider, a collider of any kind, and we can tick a trigger. So I'm going to bring it down into place. I'm not going to completely cover the snow with it because you guys can do that. You'll have the time for that. I'm going to tick is trigger on that cube, and I'm going to extend it to about 50 and just rotate it so as it roughly matches the outline of the snow there. To about there. That should do. Okay, so next let's untick Mesh Renderer and let's create a trigger script for this. So in our scripts folder, right click, create, and we need to do another C# script. Now this is just a simple script of switching that snow monitor.onSnow to a, for example, a 1 to check if we're on the snow. So let's call it snow switch, and let's open this one up. And let's get rid of the void start, void update, because we're just going to do a nice simple void on trigger enter, open close bracket, open curly bracket, and as I said, it's just snow monitor dot on snow equals 1 semicolon and then close curly bracket and save. So obviously we need to do the inverse, so we can quickly create the absolute inverse of that by not showing Explorer because we don't want that there. Create C# script, and let's call it snow switch off. And let's open that up and pretty much write the same script. Instead of a 1, it would be a 0. So void on trigger enter, open close bracket, open curly bracket, snow monitor dot on snow equals 0 semicolon, close curly bracket, and save. So then it's just a case of adding these two scripts to our triggers. So snow switch goes on the cube. Let's duplicate that cube, bring it outwards a little bit, because we're going to cross this cube as we come over onto the grass, and we're going to cross the original cube as we cross over onto the snow. So make sure you have that in the right order. So on the second cube, we just need to add the snow switch off and then remove the snow switch there. So this first one, let's rename to on snow trig, and this one to off snow trig. So we can see both of them now. The script is different. So there is a reason now why I've chosen this particular tutorial to do to at least start with the C#. So if we go back to our first person controller, and remember we added these sounds here. If we click on this script again to take us where that script is, let's open that up in MonoDevelop. So when you first see this, it may seem massively daunting because it is quite advanced for at least any beginner. But we're looking for something in specific in this script. We don't need most of it. We just need to modify a little bit. So if we scroll down to down here where we have private void play footstep audio, this is the area that we need to modify, I should say. So after your little notes here, it says pick and play a random footstep sound from the array, excluding sound at index 0, you'll have a declaration of a variable, an integer, which is going to be a random range. Underneath this, we then need to put an if statement, because this is where we need to check if the snow monitor is 0 or 1. So if, in brackets, snow monitor dot on snow is equal, and that is a double equal, to 0, open curly bracket, what we need to do is make n equal to a different number. So n equals random dot range, and then in here we need to select 1, 2, and then semicolon, and then close curly bracket to close that if statement. Now obviously we need to then do the snow version, and because we added up to 5 in our audio sounds, hopefully you guys have figured out what that random range is going to be. So if snow monitor dot on snow is equal to 1, open curly bracket, n equals random dot range, and in brackets 3, 5, semicolon, and then close if statement. So here we're determining whether our on snow is equal to 0 or 1, which is referencing that snow monitor script we wrote at the beginning of this tutorial. Once it's established that, it's going to play the correct sounds. So 3 to 5 is snow step. So here it's going to play the sounds. But we have to make sure that we're not going to play the normal footstep sounds when we're on the snow. So we have to do an extra if statement just further down. So underneath this little note here where it says move pick sound to index 0, we just need to add an extra if statement. So if snow monitor dot on snow is equal to 0, open curly bracket, then these two lines are what it's going to do. So then after that, close curly bracket and save that script. So yeah, the reason we've done C# in this tutorial, and we're probably going to use C# going forward anyway, is because we wouldn't be able to modify this script or have different footstep sounds only using JavaScript. There is just no feasible way of doing it, not without going all the way around the world with code. So hopefully when we press play now, tell you what, let's move our character all the way over here rather than waste time and walk over. So let's bring him over here to about there, and let's see if our snow sound works. Where am I? I need to find a way out of this wood. So hopefully as we cross over, there we go. Character is now walking on snow. And as we cross back, there we go. Our character is now walking on normal ground. So the same applies there. So that's how we change the footstep sounds in our game pretty much in real time. So you'll have noticed a couple of different things with that sound, especially when we're walking on the grass. It doesn't sound like we're walking on grass. This is something we will eventually change because we're delving deeper into the first-person character control script, I should say, which is C#. And as we're learning C#, we can change that even more and more to customize it how we would want it. So we'll be getting to that at a later date. Anyway, so next episode, we're going to start looking at things like a skybox, because the sky is quite plain at the moment. It's just blue. We're going to have a skybox with clouds and different things, and we're going to have a little script to render it so as the clouds and sky look like it's actually alive rather than just plain and boring. We're also going to look at having some snowfall along here. So it's all good and well having our snow, but let's have a little bit of snowfall to make it look a bit more, at least, fun. And we'll probably start looking at building up a shop and money system too, because there is a lot of people out there asking, how do we build a shop? It's not easy, but it's not complicated. So it may take a bit of time to gradually build up our shop to how we would want to see it. So guys, until that next episode, you keep building. You build up your area of your snow, you make mountains, you do whatever you want, and at least you know how to change your footstep sounds to snow. I recommend giving it a go, changing it to grass as well, if you can. If not, don't worry, we'll do it in probably a couple of tutorials time. So, until next episode, guys, thank you very much for watching.